December 10th, 2022. If it's 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, it's time for This Week in Waukesha. I'm your host, Downtown Donnie Brown, coming to you live and local from the office of former Alderman Don Paul Brown, also known as the Walk Radio Studios here at 217 Wisconsin Avenue, here in the NAMI building, right around the corner from Theodora Yeomans Park, where we are proud to honor our suffragette heritage here in the Shaw. And I've got a full studio this morning. Quite a list of celebrities here. We will start with the young lady who put this all together. You may know her as the Right Honorable Alciia Halbensleven, who represents Waukesha's 11th District in the City Council, but she is here this morning in a different capacity as board member for the Outskirts Theatre Group. And joining her from Outskirts is their producing artistic director, Ryan Rehak. Did I say all that right, Ryan?
You did.
Sounds terrific. And then, to really put the cherry on top of the sundae, we have the executive director of Waukesha Civic Theater, Rhonda Schimdt. Rhonda, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fantastic. Thank you.
Terrific. So, and they even have their photographer here, Dylan, and Dylan's capturing this all. So he's making us more famous. So Dylan's welcome. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our fantastic engineer, Calvin, who he was helping me broadcast the basketball game last night, and he's back at it this morning. So he's really one of the hardest working engineers in the radio business. He is one of the reasons that radio killed the video star and video show star. I forget the song from the Buggles. But anyway, last night our black shirts were triumphant, beating crosstown rivals Waukesha North 60-37, led by 26 points from senior All-State guard Tyron Cook. Tyron is averaging 29 points per game so far in the first 4 games. And join us Tuesday night as the Black Shirts travel to Muskego, Rhonda's hometown, to take on the Warriors and see if they can keep their undefeated conference record alive. So that coverage starts at 6:30. And before we jump into what we're going to talk about with our team here, I also want to give a very heartfelt thanks to everybody who participated in the Waukesha Christmas Parade. And I want to thank the civic media team who came from all over the state to support this effort. My colleagues, James Santel, who'll be on here, coming on after me with Morning Cannolis, was one of my co-hosts. Earl Ingram gives a fantastic show from 8 to 11, Monday through Fridays, was also here. It was fantastic. Mike Crude, Devil's Advocate, was our man on Main Street there. He came all the way from Madison. So we're really grateful. I'm reminded, without getting too religious, of for those, with Christmas Eve Mass, there's always that reading from Isaiah 9:2. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. And obviously that has many meanings. But for us here in the Shaw to see that light come alive in that parade, it was really wonderful celebration. Great feeling of redemption and of hope and the promise of better things to come. And I could spend a whole show talking about that. And I hope I do get that chance in another capacity. But again, a very heartfelt thanks to all of us who brought the light to the Waukesha Christmas Parade. And that light continues as we continue to heal and continue to become Waukesha strong. So, and speaking of community, nothing says community like a movie that a dark comedy that makes light of teen suicide pacts. And that's what we're here to talk about. So you may remember the 1989 cult film Heathers, starring Winona Ryder. And our friends at the Outskirts Theater are doing a musical adaptation that opens on January 6th at Civic Theater. And let's talk about that.
Yeah, we're really excited. So Outskirts, this is our 9th season. And we tend to find shows that are, more modern, more topical, kind of hit a younger audience. And so when we were looking for this season, this will be our first big musical coming back from, our last show that closed in March of 2020.
Okay.
And so this one it was such a natural fit. It's such a big cast. We could bring so much of the community in. It's so funny and dark and twisted and just like such a fun thing to be looking at right now.
Right.
And so as we've kind of built this partnership with Civic, and that's given us the opportunity to really, grow the size of the art that we can be doing.
Sure.
This is by far our biggest feat. And so we're really excited to bring it to the stage.
That sounds great. How big is your cast?
24 people.
24 people. Wow. And how closely does it follow the movie?
Pretty close. So, the story is pretty much the same, but then you just throw in a bunch of new songs and it really breathes a whole new life into it.
Sure. Yeah, and there are a lot of other themes there in the movie that really attack or indict kind of the current mores, especially at that time when that story came out in the late 80s. And it's still a lot of the issues we're dealing with today in high school and in contemporary society, homophobia being one of them, so many other themes.
Absolutely. Bullying, homophobia, underage drinking and drug use, suicide. And it pokes fun at a lot of these things, but it does also have a really strong message.
It sure does. Yeah. So, and I'm one of those believers that arts, the performing arts, any kind of art, should be allowed, can be allowed, or should, offend the sensibilities, get people to think differently. And so I embrace that Civic Theater's doing that. Do you feel like you have the support from the community, Rhonda, in terms of the programming you're allowed to do, or want to do, I should say?
Well, I think that's part of the beauty of having our partnership with Outskirts Theatre Company as a resident company of Waukesha Civic Theater, is that our programming and our season that we produce is really set up and structured in a way that is a little bit wholesome and for everyone. And we as a company aren't able to take as many risks necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And so partnering with Outskirts and being a support system for Outskirts to grow and flourish, they can take a few more risks and they can come in and challenge a little bit more. And they bring an audience to Waukesha Civic Theater that, that may be a little bit different. And it's all part of bringing our community together and connecting different parts of our community. So while we, the theater, we are taking a risk by supporting Outskirts and hosting Heathers, it's really worthwhile, and it's right in line with our mission to challenge, to entertain, to engage the whole community. So Outskirts is our community.
I love that. And speaking of community, Outskirts, as from what Alciia has told me, has its roots here in this community. It was founded by Carroll University students in 2014. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. So I was a sophomore at Carroll at the time. And so it was started by myself and a group of other Carroll students.
Now, she didn't tell me that. She kind of, she didn't even mention you in that. I just want you to, you guys can talk about that offline. But go ahead.
Kind of a
but
big
tell me
deal.
more, Ryan. Sorry, I just thought you should know.
Yeah, Alciia, we'll sidebar. Yeah, so I was a sophomore in Carroll's Theater and Arts Management program at the time. And actually how it all started was that as part of the arts management degree, I was taking an intro to arts administration, and how that class was set up by Professor Jennifer Dobby is that you essentially were creating a fictional arts organization. And so every week throughout the semester, it was, writing your bylaws, figuring this out, talking about a season, and as we were building it, I was just learning so much. And I was just like, oh, I love this. I want to do this with my life. And it was about midterm time. I went and met with my professor, and I was like, I love what we're doing. I want to do it for real. And so she started kind of meeting with me one-on-one after class and showing me the logistics of how this would actually work. We took that fake organization and we, registered it, became a corporation, became a nonprofit, partnered with Carroll that summer and did our first show. And now it's been 9
What was that
years.
first show?
It was called Dog Sees God. It was, again, high school suicide and drugs and all that.
Sure.
It's basically it's all of like the Peanuts Charlie Brown characters, but
Nice.
they're in high school and it deals with a lot more like adult issues.
Sure. Oh, that would have been great to see.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was one thing, there's a lot of talk about Peanuts lately, especially as, they always talk about that classic Christmas, the Charlie Brown Christmas. And people don't realize it was very controversial that when Linus gets up and reads from St. Luke, like CBS didn't want to air it, but because it was so late in the game, they couldn't. And it turned out to be a huge success.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the most popular, Christmas TV shows. But Peanuts, Charlie Brown was also the first kind of cartoon that the kids weren't always happy all the time. There were real serious issues. That was maybe one of the first kind of mental health awareness type of cartoons. I'm not sure if that's the right verbiage for it, but that's cool that you added a different element to that.
Yeah.
So.
And I think there's so much to be set up for like students to be able to see themselves and things like that. So we've done, like we did Carrie the Musical as our last big thing. And a lot of those, I love High School Musical, but there's only so much realness there.
Yeah, no doubt. So, but yeah, and we're here in the NAMI building, which I'm always proud to acknowledge. Wisconsin is the birthplace of NAMI. And so I'm always saying, every chance I get on my show, saying that mental health is everybody's right. It's everybody, it should be as natural as going to see the dentist twice a year, going to the doctor for that annual checkup. And obviously we need good mental health on a more regular basis than that, but always encouraging people, especially in the aftermath of the parade. I know it's been a full year, but there's still hundreds of people dealing with the trauma that witnessed that. And I really hope that they take advantage of the services that are out there. And I think it's great that you guys are bringing this to light in a musical capacity, which, and there's a history of mental health in my family. And I love the movie Heathers when that came out. And so I'm really excited to see what it looks like on stage. So any surprises, maybe like different from the movie or things we should look out for?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's anytime you put something on stage, so you've got that like live in your face theatrical experience, you're adding a full band, you're adding these songs, you're adding, just so many different elements you can't get from a movie. Ton of surprises. None I'm going to give you, but a lot that are worth seeing.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, your cast is outstanding. Talk about your cast.
Neat.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we have a cast of 24, and I was nervous when it was our first big show post-COVID. I didn't know what our audition was going to turn out to be like. Over 100 incredible performers from our area came out to audition for this show. And we just have like top of the line local talent and people from all over the area with so many different skill levels. And just, it's incredible. It sounds so cliche. It feels like you're walking into like a Broadway show. Some of these voices are just astounding.
Well, that's one of the biggest audition turnouts we've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
I was part of the audition process. It was actually really exciting for me. And to see all of these people coming in to do these auditions, I got to kind of experience what we were about to see. So it was a little bit of a preview for me. And I could hear them upstairs. I was downstairs and I could hear those voices. Absolutely amazing.
Oh, neat. So, hey, we're going to go to a break, but we'll be right back to talk about Heathers the Musical at Civic Theater by Outskirts Theater. Don't go away. This Week in Waukesha continues. Oh, talk about it.
Christmas Eve, babe.
Me too.
In the drunk tank, an old man said to me,
You can sing.
won't see another one.
I really only sung it while intoxicated. So it sounds like
So it's more fitting, yeah.
Works better.
Hey, we're back This Week in Waukesha, and you're listening to what is arguably the greatest Christmas song of the 20th century, Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues with the late Kirsty MacColl. And I'll be lobbying Rhonda and perhaps Outskirts too, Civic Theater and Outskirts, to do maybe a stage adaptation of this Fairy Tale of New York. Maybe one of these Christmas seasons. That would be a lot of fun. So I want to give some big props to Civic Theater because during COVID, when most of us were still under lockdown, they pivoted and came up with a great concept, a radio show version of It's a Wonderful Life. And I thought that was fantastic. Could you give some more background on that, Rhonda?
Sure. We had to pivot. We had to adapt. And so a radio production or the radio play was able to give us performance opportunities that are separate.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, how do we isolate actors? How do we still tell stories? And so we looked to radio plays to do that. And then we invited audiences back in limited capacity. There were times where we performed to a house of 10 people.
Oh, wow.
And there were times when we had 50 people.
Sure.
And it was extraordinary to bring performance, to bring art, to bring stories during such a difficult time.
Right.
For all of us. I think it was really important.
And, and radio for me has always been a fun media. Like, I still prefer taking in baseball games on radio more than being there in person or catching it on TV. There's just a certain magic to that. And then, of course, I enjoy a lot of the radio programming. But to do a story, especially a classic like It's a Wonderful Life. And were there some challenges behind that?
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, playing multiple characters and going in and out of, I mean, really storytelling
Sure.
without the visual. We had Foley artists doing all of the sound effects, primarily Alyssa Higley, who's in Heathers now.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that was such a great experience to figure out
Sure.
what sounds, what materials, what movements, there were cornflakes and shoes for walking in snow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just fantastic.
So the sound guys had a lot of fun with this.
It was fantastic.
And
Yeah.
did the costume guys have the night off, or did they?
No, because it was a fully staged production.
And you wanted people to be in character.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And well, it was set in the 40s.
1940s, upstate New York. Yeah.
Yeah. So the actors were dressed as 40s radio artists, and
Love it.
yeah, the Foley artist, the sound effect artist was.
And I think you had like
my
a
favorite
1940s
part.
mic too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
That was a quick Amazon Prime order.
Sure. Yeah, there you go. So, hey, and now to show your range, you're able to do, It's a Wonderful Life on radio.
Mhm.
And now we're taking a movie like Heathers and making a musical out of it.
Mhm.
So talk about going in a full spectrum there. And I wanted to get back to Ryan on that. Outskirts Theater started as a class you took.
Yeah.
And that class grew to like what you learned, you were able to apply right away to a theater group, an organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I went to Carroll. I started originally in theater education, feeling like I wanted to be a high school drama teacher. And as I learned more and kind of my interest fell into things like Heathers, into things like that. And I was like, well, maybe I'm not right for high school. And so I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Like I like to perform. I like to direct.
Yeah.
I like to do all these things. But then the more that I learned about that management side, and I was like, oh, it's a way to build a career. It's something I'm finding that I'm good at. It's something I'm really enjoying. And so I was like, these are, these skills I can take and I can do something with that. But yeah, so I took this class and you learn, there's so much to starting an organization or running, an arts nonprofit. And so getting, the opportunity to kind of go step by step with a professor with that guidance just totally set us up for success to be able to take that and applicate it into the real world.
That's
10
terrific.
years is a big deal.
Yeah.
And speaking of 10 years, I know, Rhonda, you spent 9 years as a high school theater director, right?
Mhm.
DSHA, and then University Lake School. And then this wonderful opportunity comes at Civic. And what did that experience with students and in a school environment help you towards something like Civic Theater?
Certainly. And even before I got into theater education, while I was studying theater in Manhattan,
Okay.
I was managing restaurants.
Neat. All right.
And so business management started very early. I was 24 years old, living in Manhattan and managing
How
Cinema
cool.
Cafe
I love it.
in
Yeah.
Midtown. So that management part of it, and then the theater education, the pedagogy, the building of the structure of a theater organization,
Sure.
those came together. And when the Waukesha Civic Theater opportunity came, it just seemed a perfect fit to really solidify Waukesha Civic Theater as a nonprofit organization, to operate as a really healthy business, to be able to provide resources to the community. I mean, the stronger we are, the more we can give. And
Sure.
so that's really been my philosophy since I walked in
Right.
the door is, we need to tighten up. We need to be as strong as we can be so that we can make
Sure.
outstanding choices
Yeah.
and be there for the community.
And it sounds like, as we were talking near the break, that you were able to leverage that school experience as well as your experience in New York to continue to engage with students with regards to classes and workshops. And
The theater education program at Waukesha Civic Theater was always really attractive to me. Doug Jarecki started it, my goodness, 15 years ago. And
Wow.
he's a fantastic educator. And that program has been the impetus for growth at Waukesha Civic Theater. I mean, we outgrew our space because we have students climbing the walls in the summertime. That's why we're expanding. Our
Neat.
expansion is the Academy Expansion Project, and it's to give
oh, cool.
2 more spaces for us to rehearse,
Fantastic.
perform, and
Okay.
teach. So
I love it.
Yep.
So we're going to go to another break, but we want to hear more about the expansion. And of course, Heathers, as This Week in Waukesha continues. Do not go away.
Show hands. They're trying to play nice. They're like, that's nice together.
They should.
All right, we're back.
Spilling the tea.
They said there'll be snow at Christmas. They said there'll be peace on earth. But instead it just kept on raining.
And we're back this week at Waukesha, and that is Greg Lake with I Believe in Father Christmas, one of my favorite Christmas time songs. And before we continue this very vibrant discussion with my friends from Outskirts and Civic Theater and the City Council, a couple community announcements. One, a big shout out to our parks, recreation forestry department. The Waukesha unlocked the second offering of it, which Civic Theater, I believe, was a part of last October, received a Wisconsin Parks and Recreation Association Silver Star Award. These are annual recognition awards given for outstanding programs, events, or marketing efforts in the areas of recreation or aquatics. It not only recognizes incredible work being done, but also helps inspire other communities. And only one award is given per category, and there's 4 categories. So again, congratulations to Mary Berg and the rest of the Parks and Rec team that had a big role in this very successful concept, as well as all the host sites, including Civic Theater and the Walk Radio here too, also hosted. The next one will not be until 2024. The date's already announced, October 12th and the 13th, but that'll give us more time to build excitement for the event, aid in planning efforts, help maintain event longevity, and maximize attendance numbers. So put that in your calendars for 2 years ahead. And then back locally in the meantime, I've been remiss in mentioning, and we might have, we didn't talk about it when Mayor Riley was on the show last week, but there are some aldermanic seats up for election. And I encourage everybody that's interested in public service to take advantage of that, take a hard look at it. You only need 20 signatures. Yes, they are due like early January, but not hard to do. And if you're looking for an opportunity to serve, I highly recommend it. As a former alderman, someone that misses it very much, I definitely encourage all of you to take advantage. And it's a great opportunity to serve, as Alicia would tell you. And I know some of the districts up for reelection are 2, 6, and 7. And do you know the rest of them, Alicia, by chance?
Oh gosh, off the top of my head, probably not.
Darn
I
it,
can
Alicia.
look them up. You put me on the spot.
You got it.
here.
Yeah, no, well, you look them up while we return to the. Oh, and then another community announcement too is we want to make everyone aware that the WIAA, in their efforts to look at conference realignment for high school football, did not make any recommended changes for the Classic 8. And as you know, there's been a strong lobbying movement to get Waukesha South out of the Classic 8 for reasons of student safety, player safety, and just a more fair and equitable playing ground. A student body of 900 has to play against schools with, over 2,200 with better resources. Just a lot of factors that just, and again, all we're lobbying for is a level playing field and fair competition and safety for our young men. And so an appeal process is underway. I know Athletic Director Dan Schreier is pursuing that, but we're really reaching out to get everybody to support this effort. Our kids deserve better. And it's really an insult that it doesn't seem like the WIA took a hard look at that. And I'm happy to go on record saying that. So, but anyway, back to the show and our guests. Thank you for your patience. So we left before the break talking about the Civic Theater's commitment to students and educating everybody on the arts. And we also talked about what a wonderful cast we have. Is there any future stars we should be paying close attention to, or is it really the whole team that really deserves a lot of kudos here?
I mean, it's really the whole cast. We have there's so much talent. There's so much diversity in this cast, more than I've probably ever seen, at Civic generally, but really just in this area in general. But it's so full of people that are so excited to be there, and the talent is great. Some of our leads, Alyssa Higley, who's playing Veronica.
Let's talk about the girls in the plaid.
Yeah.
Because what?
Alyssa Higley. So I actually first worked with her on the radio play that we did, and just seeing her growth and her voice is just amazing. Totally carrying the show and leading everyone.
Our daughter, Patrice.
Yes, Patrice Hood, Ashley Rodriguez, and Madison Nowak play our Heathers.
Oh, nice.
They are so wonderful, and they're so funny, and they just sound amazing.
And what
You will
are
be
these?
blown away.
Yeah, are
by
these
their
actual high school
voices.
students, or are they like college students playing high school?
More
or-
college into like
Okay.
early mid-20s. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
okay.
mostly in theater.
Sure. Oh,
Unless
yeah,
it's
I know, yeah.
Unless it's a high school
Sure.
show,
Mhm.
adults play the teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Glee.
Sure.
Yeah, but all four of those women are incredibly talented. Our JD, our leading male, which it's so wonderful to find a leading male that can sing in this area. Aiden Black, he's a sophomore UWM in their musical theater program. And so he's just coming up, and I'm sure we're going to see him everywhere.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And then we mentioned, this all started at Carroll University.
Mhm.
Does Carroll continue to support Outskirts in any capacity?
They do. So, we've done multiple of our productions at Carroll. They've always been supportive of, whether that be with financial donations or just time or borrowing, props and costumes and things. I've got a great relationship with the theater program there. I often go back and talk to that class now
Mhm.
and give a presentation.
No, neat.
Carol's
Sure.
just been a wonderful resource for us.
Okay. And what's the relationship like between Carroll and Civic Theater?
Well, it's a great partnership. Professor Jen Dobby actually recently directed a production at Waukesha Civic
nice.
Theater. So
Okay.
she directed The Play That Goes Wrong. And
I love that.
it was
That sounds like it's right down my
hysterical.
alley.
Yeah, it really, everything has to go right for it to go completely wrong.
Sure.
But she was such a wonderful presence on our directorial team.
Okay.
And she brought in a production team
Yeah.
primarily from Carroll,
Oh,
either
nice.
directly involved or have been directly involved.
That's terrific.
And it was really special
Yeah.
to have that experience with Jen Dobby.
Nice.
We've had interns from Carroll over the years, and we want to continue that program, and we want to build that with our new space as well. We'll have a new black box theater, which includes a sound and light booth.
Nice.
And so we have plans with Carroll University to be their off-site
Oh, nice.
practicum theater facility.
That's
So
a big win.
we want them to have
Sure.
experience outside of their university
Mhm.
where they can come in and,
Right.
and learn.
And
So-
integrating, like being a true university city,
Absolutely.
which is I'd love
We
to
have
see
to
in the
be so
European
connected.
tradition.
We're so
Yeah.
close, and it's such a fantastic
I love it.
university.
Sure.
Mhm.
And I'm sure Carroll's got to be over the moon that they'll also be coming to an expanded facility. How's all the plans going?
Oh, it's going really well. We are up to our eyeballs in construction. When you come in now, it changes every day. So today
Right.
you'll see the carpet has been ripped out. A first coat of paint is on. Our bathrooms are nearly finished. When you come to Heather's, the bathroom renovation will be done. So you'll be in
So I
our
heard
brand new
If
bathrooms.
you use only one public bathroom all year, it's the
I
new
know.
Civic Theater ones
Yeah,
will be
come
available
check
for
them
Heathers.
out. And during January, they'll
Sure.
be doing demo for the new box office and new bar and concession area. So
Sure.
we'll continue to operate all
Right.
of our things out of our riverfront
Sure.
lobby and studio.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I embrace this concept of Heathers, a musical.
Mhm.
I think it's really, it's kind of amazing that it hasn't been done sooner since that film's been around for so long. But so there's art that's intended to really, kind of touch the sensibilities or even offend in some case, and it has great value, and that's important. But then there's some art that just goes off the rails and is darn right offend. And so what I'm alluding to is Don Teagues, who was on my show a few weeks back with his son Eric, one of the survivors of the Christmas parade attack. He happened to be watching an episode of the Connors, and John Goodman, who is one of my favorite actors of all time, and Katie Seagal, I guess, is in that Roseanne Barr role now. And one of the mothers comes from Wisconsin in bad weather, and I believe she's played by Jane Curtin. And they start talking about, I can't believe you came here. You shouldn't have come in the snow just to bring dessert, yada, yada, yada. And they talk about her crazy driving. And she made a few remarks about, like, snow wouldn't stop her. Not even a marching band. She'd run right over it or something like that. And obviously Don was very upset. He's like, what you're talking about is my son. And I saw it and I was like, yeah, I can't believe nobody at that level for a nationally, syndicated TV show had the sensitivity to think about those words, unless they're trying to draw attention. Help us, because I know, but help our audience understand what differentiates something like Heathers from something like that just like, it just seems to be thoughtless or just seems to be a gigantic and offensive oversight.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time and a place for everything, and that was a big discussion we had when picking Heathers, because you're talking about teen violence and death and things, and like, was this the time to be doing that? I think in the world of a musical, and especially something like Heathers, where it's so over the top and it's so far removed from reality, that we can really draw that line between, like, this is just a fun musical. We're not poking fun or doing things like that. But it's really, I think it's in how you stage it. It's the conversations that you're having, and I think just approaching things like that with kindness and with respect to what's happened, and having that foresight, I think, really makes that big difference between just throwing some dumb line on TV for laughs and using it to tell a story.
Sounds great. Well said. Thank you for illuminating it. And I'm looking through the mirror and I see James Santel coming in. He has his morning show, Morning Cannolis after me. And James he told me during the parade that he participated, or he participates in some theater at Civic Theater. I think one of the productions.
I've directed Jim Santel.
All right. So we have a little bit of a reunion here. Oh,
absolutely.
Really? What role is he?
He was the mean lawyer.
Oh, that's name? Right. You mentioned the prosecutor. Yeah.
Yes,
okay. Yeah.
He was just fantastic.
Okay.
And then Jim was also in the show Come Back.
Okay.
Which was also a dark comedy.
All right.
Because we as human beings, darkness is and difficult things are everywhere. It's part of our daily life.
Sure.
And part of our way of coping with them is to be able to laugh at ourselves and being human.
So it's only fair we invite Jim, since we're gossiping about him on the radio, that he should know. Jim, we're talking about you, so it's only fair you're here to defend yourself.
I knew I had to come in because I have all these wonderful friends.
One of your biggest fans, Rhonda, is here.
So
in all directions here.
We got some reviews on your sparkling performances in To Kill a Mockingbird and in a dark comedy.
A good day, but because of these folks and the inspiration they give, always delighted to be a part of that wonderful enterprise right down the street here.
Sounds great.
We're happy to have you as part of our community.
And as great inspiration here. This is Rhonda actually directed me in my very first production there of To Kill a Mockingbird.
That was your first production there?
It was, right. It's still iconic to this day, right around the time of Donald Trump's presidency. And we had to go on the air on the morning of, right after the election.
There were a lot of tears.
There were a lot of tears that day, but we got through it. And again, tremendous, wonderful artistic and also human inspiration coming from that place right down the street here. Absolutely.
Sounds great. All right.
Good. Wonderful.
Thanks for popping in, Jim. Yeah, we felt it was only fair. We were talking about you. It was like, this guy, he deserves to,
I'll have to get the transcript then of all of this, right?
So,
all the nice things.
Perfect.
All sparkling
James
reviews.
Will come to Heathers in January.
That's right. Yeah.
Of course.
Absolutely, right? We'll have to do that.
So will
Sounds
all
great.
of you.
Right?
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Everybody's going to do that.
We're all invited.
Good to see you, friends.
Good to see
Thanks
you.
so much. So, Jim will be on in a little more than 15 minutes for morning cannolis and a lot of big legal issues to talk with. We want to hear what's happening with is it Moore versus Harper, and see if we still have a democracy. So looking forward to see what Jim has to say about that. I've heard that we might be able to sleep comfortably, especially what that means too is defending our arts, our performing arts, talk about your First Amendment, freedom of expression, and to be able to do all these forms. So stick around for Jim. And back to Heathers and Civic Theater. So golly, you've got retired U.S. Attorney Jim Santel as a big supporter, and even, I guess, a client or somewhat of an employee or volunteer. And then you also have Alciia Halbensleven on the board. And another member of the council, Beth Moulton, is she on the board for Civic Theater or just a big supporter?
Just a big supporter.
A huge supporter.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's great to have all that support from the community. Is it the same? It seems like it's the same from the business community as well.
It is. Yeah. And that's part of being a community theater is we serve the whole community. And so having, corporate sponsors from all over and really to honor and respect people's standpoints from every direction and have conversations that may be difficult.
Sounds great. All right. So, hey, we got to pay some bills, but This Week in Waukesha continues with Rhonda Schimdt of Civic Theater, Ryan Rehak of Outskirts Theater, and Alciia Halbensleven in this capacity with Outskirts Theater. Do not go away. I know we're back on, Calvin. Can't you see me rocking? Hey, we're back this week in Waukesha. And my man Ray Davies and the Kinks giving another great Christmas song. And who says you can't have a rock and roll Christmas? That's the Kinks with Father Christmas. And it's just like, who says you can't make Heathers into a musical? And that's what Ryan Rehak from Outskirts Theater is here to talk about. And Rhonda Schimdt from Civic Theater. And Alciia Halbensleven wanted to elaborate upon when I asked Rhonda about the support of the business community. And Alciia, the mic is yours.
Yeah, so one of the things that I think about when supporting the Civic Theater is the arts are great. Of course, I love just seeing a show, but one of the best things about seeing a show is all of the things that you can do before and after the show. My plan today is to see Matilda tonight at the Civic Theater, so I'm very excited to see what has changed since the last show when I was there last. But my other plan is to make sure that I'm stopping into some of the local businesses before and after. So plan to maybe grab a glass of wine somewhere, either at Crush or at Spring City, not sure which one yet, before the show.
Maybe both.
Maybe both, why not? And then head over to the Civic. And then I have reservations at Tofty's table right after that with a plan to check out the Walk of Lights as well.
I saw Christina and Chef Jason at Magellan's. There was a fundraiser there for Waukesha South basketball, and they just happened to be there for a drink, but happy to support the cause. And yeah, but just, it's neat. That's one restaurateur going to support another. And that's kind of the culture we have here in downtown.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely a culture of support. So I think all of the businesses like to support each other.
Right.
And I think that really lends itself to, for me to be able to say, oh, maybe I'll go to Crush, maybe I'll go to Spring City. No one's offended if I go to one or the other because they know I'm going to come to both eventually.
Right.
Especially you, Alciia.
Especially me.
But our subscriber benefit card. So when you become a subscriber, you get a card that gives you a discount to a number in your purse.
That's smart too. Yeah.
To a number of businesses downtown, and that partnership with restaurants, coffee shops, stores. I mean, that's really important.
Sure.
It's fantastic. We have great neighbors.
And speaking of local business, I have to give a shout out to Katrina Cafe. It's become one of my Saturday morning traditions where I get Judith, wonderful student at Catholic Memorial, takes great care of me there. And the owners, Carroll University graduates as well, Jamie and Liliana. And they also have a great stand at the new farmers market at Chef Pam's. And so it's really neat to see this whole community together. And don't worry, Christina, if you're listening, I still love Steaming Cup. I go in there still a lot, but Saturday morning, it's just me and Katrina Cafe. And before, it gives me that kind of moment of zen before I come here into the office of former Alderman Don Paul Brown. So especially on a very important day like today, where we have leaders in the performing arts here in our community presenting to us. This has been really fantastic, and without a script too, so it shows you the depth of their talent. And speaking of scripts too, Rhonda had a little bit of a pivot, but again, as a person of the theater, probably easy for you to, because you had to wear during this expansion, you have to wear many hats, and one of them's a hard hat with the expansion. So, what's the completion date on that you're projecting or hoping for?
So we continue fundraising. We have raised enough funds to finish phase 1 of the project. But
Fantastic.
We continue because we really would like to finish the whole project.
Great.
So phase 1 is the new rehearsal hall, renovated lobby, office space, and the structure of the new theater. Phase 2 gets us to having 2 performance spaces, 2 venues at the same time. So we are looking for donors to step forward. I
love it.
Yeah, we're looking for a couple of major supporters. We still have the naming rights available for the theater.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So the so-and-so studio
the Civic
theater.
Media.
The Civic Media
or the
Studio Theaters has a really beautiful ring to it.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So that it's opportunity. We bring 250 people to downtown Waukesha for a main stage show. We want to bring 85 more for a smaller show or concert or academy production. So
that's fun. Yeah. When I was in college, I worked at a wonderful performing arts center at Michigan. It's called the Clifton and Dolores Horton Center for Performing Arts. And they had 2 theaters, and there was the Great Hall. And then there was the smaller theater, like you mentioned, that was really needed. It even had a vomitorium, in the Roman tradition. It's really cool. So, and now this is also going to change the face of your appearance, like when Friday Night Live comes along.
Absolutely.
So that'll give you a lot more.
So we've existed in the Pix Theater, which has been really special and a nod to the past. But having the space next door, in our new renovated space is going to be really exciting. It's a storefront. You can see what's happening. You can see the action. We're going to have a retractable door, so it's an accordion opening door. So on Friday
cool.
Night Live, you can come to the theater, you can reserve a table,
Nice.
and hang out at the theater while watching the show that is on Main Street of, the bands,
Right out there on Main
people
Street.
watching the.
Love it.
Yep, all of the exciting
How
things
fun.
that you see.
That's terrific. Now, Heather's opens January 6th. And then how many days? It goes through the 21st. Did I get that right?
Through the 15th.
Through the
So we've got
15th,
those
okay.
2 weekends.
People need to know not to snooze on it. So it's not like a 3-week run where, I think, I'll wait and catch it. You have to get your tickets, and you have to get your tickets early or you're going to lose your opportunity. So don't snooze on it.
And it is a great holiday gift
Absolutely.
for that special someone. So.
Yeah. And, I just asked, what is the age range? Is it PG-13? I mean, it is an adult leaning show. But our teenagers, our kids, they're having these conversations about, really difficult and complicated things. As a parent of a teenager and a parent of a 7-year-old, I would rather see art to create conversation with them.
Yes.
So that we can talk about those difficult things. We
Right.
can talk about the ugly and the joyous. So it can be an opportunity for families
Sure.
to have conversations.
And at one point too, January, the mayor and I were talking about this last week, is that's a time when people are depressed and they're out of money. And so, with that holiday spending money you have now, get the gift, and then you've got something to look forward to in January. And that's Heather's at the Civic Theater.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
So, and how much are tickets, if I may ask?
So there's a wide range. I think a main stage ticket for an adult starts at $30, but there are discounts for students and seniors and subscribers. And also, it's important to us to get people that want to see those shows in the seats. So we will do what we can.
Yeah, we typically will do like a flash sale,
Mhm.
or our goal is to make it accessible.
Great.
At the end of the day, we do need to function as as a business. We can't make everything free.
Sounds great.
And we have great shows.
Okay.
Outskirts provides great shows, but we try to make it as accessible as possible and make opportunities.
Sounds terrific. So I have less than a minute, so I want to make sure I acknowledge founder and artistic producing director,
Yes.
Ryan Rehak, Rhonda Schimdt Executive Director of Civic Theater,
Thank you.
and Outskirts Theater board member, who you also know as alderperson Alciia Halbensleven. Thanks for putting this together. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday morning. Don't forget to take a hard look at Heather's as a great Christmas holiday gift, and check out the Civic Theater in January for the Outskirts Theater production of Heather's.
Thanks for
and
having us.
Thank you
thanks
so
for joining
much.
us this morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and please don't forget that safety is everyone's responsibility. Bye for now, and see ya.